Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Gaetano. Oh, you know what I want to start this episode with? If
Uh-oh, what?
possible. Can you,
Yeah.
okay, I don't, can you please tell me exactly how to pronounce your name?
It's not the way you have been doing
I
it for a
know.
couple of years, though.
I
I can't
know.
believe that's what you were.
It's,
That you. I mean, it's very respectful, and I appreciate you for acknowledging that you may not be saying my name right. So it's Gait. So in Italy, you would say Gaetano,
which is
but we're not
impossible for
there.
somebody from like an American English. We just
So
don't
just
have
Gaetano is the easiest way.
Gaetano. Like as
Gaetano,
if it's
yeah,
Gai then. Like
or
Gaetano.
Guy, like Gui Tano,
Gui.
Gaetano,
That would be Gui. That would be
Gui.
Gui.
No, guy, like guys and gals. Guy.
Gui. I thought you said I. Sorry.
Guitano. So
Gaetano.
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 Yeah.
Guy. See, it's impossible.
So in Italian and in like Spanish, you pronounce each vowel,
Yeah.
so it's Gaetano. In
Which is
Spain, they
gorgeous.
pronounce
Yeah.
it Gaetano. So I will. Can I just say this since you brought this up?
Yes.
What a great thing. So my whole life, my name has been Gaetano.
Yeah.
And no one has my whole life's pronounced my name. So my name has been Bob at Starbucks, McDonald's,
Oh, of course.
anywhere I need to leave. My name has been Bob forever. And I moved here and I said Gaetano. And they were like, okay, get out of my way. Next customer. Not like what, who, how, guy who, Guillermo, Gerardo. No, that's not what I said. I said Gaetano. And here they're like, and the only difference is they spell it the Spanish way. And I was like, oh,
You
this
have
is my
changed
home. They love me here. I'm accepted.
I mean, it's funny because I 100% know that I'm not doing it correctly. I try to do it correctly if I'm just saying your name, but if I'm saying it in a sentence, I can't like create those vowels like that. And when we went to Denmark and I was like, I'm going to be in Denmark, my mom's Danish, we were, I was like, let me learn a few words because she never taught us Danish. I literally couldn't, I mean, everyone there speaks perfect English, but I was like, let me learn some phrases. I couldn't even create the sounds that I needed at this point to say the phrases. I mean, I was just became like the comedy show of like, let's teach her some words because this is really funny. So, that just, I think if you don't learn early on, it is sometimes hard.
Yeah.
I'm just going to apologize forever for never pronouncing your name correctly, but I will try.
Well, I've never been offended because when you grow up with a name like this, you can either choose to be offended or not offended.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to offend me because if I were to be offended by my name, then I would have had a very miserable life of being offended all the time. So,
right.
So
Anyway, that was not what we were here to talk about today, but
it totally wasn't. But thank you for that. I guess we could call that a catch-up and correction. We could start a little part of our show calling it catch-ups and corrections.
Oh, we probably have loads of those. Do we really want to start that?
But let's
go for it.
Of them. Let's go for it.
We may never have a show.
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, our dear audience, one thing I want to say is when we started today's recording of the episode, we have had 210 downloads already. So I just want to say thank you.
Yes.
I just got to throw that in, like in 1 week. Us nobodies have become international superstars.
That's one way of putting it. But you know what? We were really, really excited to see that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. But we're going to talk about our follow-up to Fallas, basically. So we recorded 2 weeks ago, the start of everything, and now it's died down, and the city has come back to normal. And I think we brought that up the last episode. There's this crazy event, and then the next day, it's like nothing happened, and it's bizarre.
Yeah. And it's ongoing. So when we recorded the first episode, we were sort of in the middle of the first weekish, I think, of things sort of getting going, and a lot of stuff has happened since then.
Yeah.
And as you said, I think we've had some sort of weather and some different things. So I think what you had said is things had kind of had a slow start a little bit.
It did. We had other friends in town visiting, and they were like, this is insane. This is crazy. And the girls and I were like, is it? It's okay. I mean, it's exciting, but it's not last year. And we were in a shop, and they're like, what do you mean? And the shop owner, she was like, it was muy tranquil, so... Right. And I'm like, it was, right? Tell them. And she was like, I'm so happy about it. I'm like, yeah, it was refreshing to not have, like, kids throwing bangers day and night for 3 weeks. But it was also set, and there was a lot of rain, right? There was a lot of rain, and as we talked in last week's episode about how weather is here, there was a lot of rain this place, and it just kind of dampened everyone's
Yeah. But
mood.
did it pick up
And
though? I mean, it picked up, I think, sort of towards the end because you sent me a really funny picture of your apartment that just cracked me up.
oh,
And
so that
that
was
was
the.
so funny. I saw.
Are you talking about the pictures?
Yes.
So the last day of Fives was actually a very beautiful day. It was sunny. The days before it had been raining, and I also want to say, like, right after we recorded, they had I don't know if we had discussed that before, but I'll bring it up again. A couple of the mascletas were shut down, so because they were fearing there could be another Dana episode, and so we didn't have three mascletas. And so all that weather. So the last day of Fias, which is the Crema, every intersection where there's these statues, each correction from our Fias 1 episode. Tanya, are you ready?
Oh my gosh.
So when we
Did we make mistakes?
we
Shocking.
may have made one mistake. Oh no. We kept saying those little neighborhood organizations, the Falleros, whatever
The
they're
clubs,
called.
the Fires Club.
The
I think we
clubs,
call them a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So we are not here to offend anyone. They're called Casal Faya.
Okay.
Fias. Casal Fias is the name of the
Of
group.
each
And they
one.
each have their own gnomes, but that's like calling it a key club, the Kiwanis Club. That's the Casal Fias.
Okay.
That's what that organization is.
And then they each
all
have
their
names on top of that they call themselves.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's usually like the intersection.
The intersection of
and they're
the
the ones of
streets.
mine. Yeah, that's is.
I don't know how they know what the streets are because there's no street signs.
And they change every 3 blocks. Like
Yes.
every time it hits another street, the street name changes. So I don't know
That's
either.
another
But-
episode completely of trying to find places here. But let's carry on with the so carry on with what happened with the mascletas, I guess, and then
So the statues are right like on every seems like every intersection in some neighborhoods. And so that morning and afternoon up. Well, it's actually the afternoon. So there's the last mascleta in the Plaza Ayuntamiento, the big one. And then after that, it starts for the next hour to 2 hours that every neighborhood casal has their own mini mascleta. And it's just like a wave through the city for like an hour and a half. And it's like in the fire truck, they have to get those people around. So
is this
at
when
our
they're doing the
neighborhood-
burning, or this is just separate?
No, this is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh,
They
okay.
start at like 2:30. So the big mascots is at like 2.
Right.
And I was saying, oh my God, this mascot is going on forever. I'm like, but why is it coming from a different direction? Then I was like, oh my God, that's right. They're starting now. So it's like soon after that one ends, the neighborhoods start doing their mini mascletas. And so there is one Fias on my intersection, which is we live midway through the block. And our street is where they set up the mascleta, and we're on the 3rd floor and 4th in America, but here it's the 3rd floor. So we are, and we have balconies overlooking the
Don't
street.
get
And
me
we like
started.
so we're like, let's go out in the balcony because last year we left the house and they wouldn't let us leave our foyer of our building because they were just getting ready to light this thing. And so it's pretty much the whole block. And the women and the men in their traditional dress there, and they light it up, and then they book down the street, and you see their little dresses moving really fast because they don't want to get bombed. And we were out in the balcony, and it is 3 minutes that seems like 60 minutes. Your ears are being melted in your head, and it is so loud and so exciting. And we loved it, and we were like gripping the wall because we felt like our terrace.
Were you inside or were you out on the balcony?
No, we were out on the balcony.
Okay.
If we're in it, we're in it. We
You're
are
in it.
here. We are for it. Yeah. And so we're standing out there, and I'm videoing it.
Yeah, and I
maybe
want to
I'll
be
post the
clear,
video.
just to be clear, the mascletas are not fireworks. They're not shooting off fireworks that are
They're
going to
not
hit
visual
you. Yeah,
fireworks, right.
they're not shooting off fireworks that
No.
are going to hit you on your balcony.
No, that's wrong.
Okay.
That's wrong. They are.
They are.
They're just not the big in the sky, but they shoot up. They shoot up, and they're usually like a little bit of color. It's not like the big fan.
But it's not coming up to you on your floor, so you're okay with that, like if it's going to hit you or something.
Well, I mean, would I okay with it? No, but we left the balcony door open in case we just had to duck in real
Okay,
quick.
got
You know
it.
what I mean?
Okay,
But-
just want to get a proper picture of like what is actually going on, because it's not 4th of July fireworks. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's these sort of ones that will go
It's the
up.
noise.
It's a
Right.
really big noise and a
It's
little
more about
bit.
the noise, but
Yes.
there is a visual because it is gunpowder
Yeah.
exploding, right? So the
And it's a
visual's more at high
vibration.
level. Right, and
Yeah.
it's the vibration. But in the beginning of it, and you know what? I will post it today on Instagram, the video, and then people can see the bird's eye view from our balcony because
Yeah.
I recorded
Because
it.
as far
And
as
there's this
I understood, they have a string and they put them across. So basically, they light that string and then it just goes for however
right, so
long.
it's like they light the string, and that's like one string, like the wick has a like 100 like little firecrackers attached.
Yeah.
And like the one on our street went to that, and then it went to this block that had the things that shoot up in the
Got
air.
it. Okay.
But it's almost like Roman candles, right? It's not like a big display. And then it goes through this big maze of, and the firecrackers are like 4 or 5 inches long
Oh,
and
that's
big. That's why they're so
awesome.
loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
so I wanted to get down there and take a picture
But they wouldn't
of
let
the
you.
view. Well, I didn't know if I was going to have enough time to then get back upstairs.
Oh,
Like I
right.
didn't want
Yeah.
to, I didn't know when they were going to light it and stuff. And so it was so loud. And then we come back inside the house, and I guess I'll post that picture too after the video, is that our pictures were askew on our
I
walls.
love it. They're
was
like
so
all
loud.
crooked, and I get this picture, and it's like, okay, because you feel that vibration in your body, in your brain, probably in your ears, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But to come in back inside your house and everything's all crooked on the walls, I just thought was so hilarious.
And we were like, what? Oh, and again, I have to reiterate, how do they still have windows in this
I don't
town? And
know.
how are there stucco still on these buildings? And then, yeah, so I mean, it was crazy. So then that went on like in our neighbor, and those are short, but they're every like intersection is doing this. So it's just this like
Yeah.
wave of noise over the city. I mean,
I do
I love
not know
it.
how the glass survives.
I don't
Even the
either.
buildings, I mean, they do this every year. So this goes on, and it goes on for
It's got to
several
be
weeks.
winking some mortar.
You would think, but clearly not. So let's just say the construction here in Spain is amazing,
Yeah.
as is the glass, I guess.
That's
Because,
just
I mean, we
nuts.
definitely have noticed that the construction of buildings in Spain is significantly superior to how they build things in America generally.
Yeah.
And that's
Or at least down here. I don't know what it's like in mountain areas.
no,
'Cause,
yeah,
we don't
other areas.
we don't build out of wood down here.
No.
It's all
Full
concrete and
full
cinder block.
concrete construction, which is when we first got our house and we put a dishwasher in, and the dishwasher had a malfunction and it didn't send the water out properly, and it went down between the wall, and I was freaking out because I was like,
You're like termites.
oh
And
my god,
mold.
mold, termites, the house is gonna fall down. What are we gonna do? This is gonna cost like 100,000 euros. Like, oh my god, I'm like freaking out. And then the guy who came to like fix it, he was like, no problemo, it's done. Like, it's done, it's gone. The water's gone.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean the water's gone? Like, surely the water has been soaked up by my house at this point, you know?
Right.
And he's like, no, it's gone. Don't worry. And it was for my brain was like, how do I not worry about this? But I don't have to worry. Well, this is crazy, you know?
Right.
Yeah, that was insane. I was like, but that was really cool. So my mascleta experience.
Yeah, what did you do?
Oh my gosh! So I had a super duper fancy mascleta experience, which was really, I haven't had that. So I've gone into the city, done the mascletas, that type of thing, seen everything, heard everything, but I've never gone to like an office building or something where they like you can see it properly from above, kind of.
So wait, you were inside one of those buildings because I've been to mascletas before, and I've been jealous. And is this what you're telling me? Is that there's all these balconies over the square, and so you got to hang out of
I
on
was
one
one
of
of
those?
those people.
Oh wow!
It was such a cool experience, I have to say.
So who do you know?
Oh, well, I know fancy people, let's just say. It wasn't me. So I got invited through a friend who
Okay.
who had they built a house, and this beautiful, gorgeous house, and the architects had an office downtown, and they invited
Okay.
her, and she took me as her date. So I was like, awesome. So we got to dress up a little bit, go down there, and they had like, food and, drinks and, hamon
Right.
and all these yummy things. So we got there maybe like an hour before, hung out, chatted, and then they have these beautiful windows overlooking one of the corners, and then from there, and it was the rainy day. So when you're looking at like everyone had umbrellas and we're like inside with the windows open. We're like so spoiled, right? And everyone else is down there with their umbrellas.
Like we were last year.
Yeah. Did we have umbrellas? I'm not sure we had
Yeah, it
umbrellas.
was pouring. It was
It
pouring.
was, but
Remember
I'm not
we were...
sure we were smart enough to have umbrellas.
Well, the girls and I had our umbrellas.
Okay, I'm not sure we did. I think we had like, who knows? But then when the mascletàs started, obviously we had this fantastic view, and that's the first time that I really got to enjoy the colors and everything, because the colors that they put up are very quick, it seems,
right.
And then it moves on to other parts.
And then
of
the
it.
smoke is different colors
Yes,
sometimes.
and it also
too,
depends on
so
where
pretty.
the smoke is going as well. Because
Right.
if you're standing on the side of the mascletà where the smoke is blowing, your view of the mascletàs dies very quickly.
Right.
And we just happened to be on the right side, and the smoke was blowing in the other direction. So we really got to see the colors.
So it's still clear.
It was
and
clear.
you
We got to see the colors. We got to see all the
sparks
little,
and
all the little sparkles that came out when it's
Yeah.
like, bang, 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 and it all comes up, and you see all the little whizzy little firework things, and it was really like, it was such a great way to see it and such a like different experience.
Now, how was the sound? Was it
Amazing.
just as vibrating
Oh,
as
so
when
we
you were
have
down
they have
in the
these
floor?
big windows, that open up like French doors, which have all glass in them. We're standing there. That glass is vibrating. I'm sure yours was in your house, right?
Right.
The glass is vibrating. And I said to the lady there, I was like, I don't understand how all these buildings are still standing and how the glass is still standing. She's like, I don't know. And she goes, and also the glass in a lot of the buildings around the town square are old.
It's old, right?
Very old.
Yeah.
So they've experienced this vibrating. I don't know. I just don't know. But you can hear it.
We'll probably bring it up a million times on this podcast, so please don't send us hate mail about stop bringing up the glass and the buildings.
But it's
standing.
mind-blowing.
and how nothing's on fire.
Yeah, but I would say if you
so
ever
exciting.
get the opportunity to go somewhere like that and see the mascletàs.
I've had friends, other acquaintances here tell me of this experience, and still yet now another friend who I'm now in business with has not invited me, but it's okay. I don't take anything personally. I'll move on.
Are you sure?
And I'll make other friends.
Yeah, you need to make new friends that have friends in high places. That's all I can suggest.
Exactly. What else was I going to say? Oh, so the rain was kind of a thing, but what we didn't do last year, and I don't know if you'd ever seen this, is we went to Rusafa this time, and they have like a light show there.
Oh, really?
And it was insane that the whole, like, all the streets, it's like a cave of lights. You know how like at Christmas time here and in Fallas and some of you see the lights hanging
So like
over the street?
decorations, not like.
But it's like it almost looks like one of those. I don't know if you were in New York at the time. Those tacky Indian restaurants in the Lower East Side. Did you ever? Did you ever live in New York?
No, I never
forgot.
lived in
You
New
never
York,
lived.
no.
So in the East Village of New York, there was, I think it was like 6th Street back in like the 90s. There was these like tacky Indian restaurants, like, and I hate to say tacky, but all the restaurants were the same, and they all had all this stuff hanging from the ceiling, like the gilding and the fuchsia, like paper mache kind of lanterny looking type of things. And I mean, I love that stuff. I'm from Vegas, you throw me a rhinestone and some gilding, and I'm a sucker. I'm in it, and so. We get to Rusafa, and it's just some of these intersections, not even the intersection, goes down the whole block where it's these cave of lights, and it looks like that.
So like Christmas decorations, kind of like they've decorated all the streets and made archways, and that's cool. So that's something to see. Yeah.
It's definitely something to see. I would say that we had said that, I think, that we think Fallas is something everyone should, if you have the ability to see once in your life. After this one, I realized it's something, yes, everyone should see once in their life, but to really understand it, you probably need to be here 5 years. Like, you need to see at least 5 times. Because there's no way you can take in all the statues. And it doesn't matter. The next year, they're all different anyway. So you could never take it all in one trip.
We've had different experiences every year. So, I mean, for instance, this is the first year I got to have that really great experience of being up and in a nice, cushy place watching it rather than down on the street trying to find a good spot, that type of thing. But then if you get really close to the mascletàs in the middle of the town square, that's a whole other experience too. And then, I'm sure like you said, maybe Rusafa next year will be a little different how they decorate. Who knows? And we have the mascletàs and the Fallas and everything up in our town as well. So you can also go to different towns in Valencia and see their things.
Right.
So there's plenty to see for years and years if you love it.
For years and years, but each neighborhood has their own signature thing.
Yeah.
So it's like we've been here, and I'm like, we didn't walk around the lights of Rusafa last year. Someone had mentioned to me, but I didn't pay
Yeah.
any mind. And so I was like, let's do that tonight, and we did. I was like, oh my god! But then there's stuff they do different things down in Cabagnol. Like there's different
Yeah.
things. So
And
it's
if
a
you live
lot.
outside of the city and you're going in and out to see things, you will run into different things that you're not expecting.
Right,
Because I've never really looked at a schedule. We just kind of go in and out, and every time we go in, oh, we just ran into a parade today. That kind of
right,
experience.
right,
Which was kind of the experience I had when I lived in San Francisco, which was if we went out, something would be happening that you would sort of run into. Whether it was a parade or a festival or something, for me that was probably the most active city that I've lived in, and it's a little bit like that, where, like you said, it was you live in the city, and still Rusafa was an experience you didn't know you were going to have.
right. I mean, we've been to Rusafa; it's our next neighborhood, but
Yeah.
that whole thing, and yeah, I mean, and this time we went to so the last 3 4 nights they have big fireworks displays um in the city. I mean, every weekend they have fireworks displays, but the last 3 nights they're down over the City of Arts and Sciences. We're over the Opera House, and so we went the night before the last night. So on the 18th, just me and my youngest went, and it was raining, and um, my daughter suffers some blood sugar attitude control issues, so she was getting very angry, and I was like trying to find her a Coke or something to make her mood better. But all these people, so I this thing was amazing, but this is an amazing thing about the Spanish people, so I'm gonna give some kudos to the Spanish. So we walked down there, and everyone's got their umbrellas up, and it was like a mist, like we were getting wet, but like you weren't getting soaked, right? And so Plum was like, "You don't even need your umbrellas. Why do all these people have their umbrellas? We're not going to see anything. Why all these people? I mean, there's got to be a couple hundred
And you're
thousand
not
people
going to
down
see
there.
anything. And me, 5'4". If everyone has their umbrellas up, I'm the one getting hit by the pokey things, because I'm at that height,
Exactly,
and I'm not seeing anything over an umbrella for sure.
exactly. And so she was getting angry. Now, mind you, while we're there, everyone's got their fireworks with them. So
Oh,
they're just throwing firecrackers in these crowds of 100,000 people. And then they have got Roman candles. And then some people had like, I was joking because I was doing videos with my friends, and I was showing them, they're like, oh, that's amazing. I go, oh no, that's store bought. That was just someone that you bought from the store that had ones that went up in the
oh,
sky. Like you would see like in a Midwest country club in the States, right?
right.
Some like, their little 4th of July picnic. And then but anyway, so when it started, because they do like a 10-minute bomb to warn you, and then a 5-minute bomb to warn you that it's going to happen. And when it started, everyone put their umbrellas
No.
away. And I was
Oh
like,
my god.
not expecting that as a human being.
Seriously? Like everyone just
Every
collectively put the umbrellas down, and
put
like
the
let's not worry
umbrellas
about
down.
the rain at that point.
Yeah.
Really? That is
I was
so.
like a little emotional. I was like, I
Yeah.
love these people. Like, who would, like, humanity doesn't do
No,
that.
humanity does not do that in America.
No, or
Or
anywhere. I mean, I don't
anywhere.
know where else they
That
would
wouldn't
do
happen in
that.
England. I don't think that would happen in any country that I've ever lived in where people collectively just have like that much respect for what's going on that they want everybody to see it, I guess.
Yeah. It was
Wow.
like I'm like a little emotional thinking about how it was, because it is like, I mean, here's all these, and not one was up, and Paloma
Wow.
just got the biggest smile on her face, like she
Oh.
believed in life, she believed that
Oh.
that,
And the
that we
mascletàs, like
can
we
all
said
get it go.
before, I can't explain it, but they are kind of emotional. So you're
Right.
already a little like hyped emotionally in a way. So then for that to happen, I would be just like, I'm just crying now.
Yeah. And and then the way they do fireworks here, it's like the masclettas. I don't know if you've been in this city for one of these big night
No,
ones.
because they're at like midnight or something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they're all at
I'm,
midnight,
that's
and we
way
couldn't
past my
walk there.
bedtime. Okay, I know I'm in Spain, but it's no.
All right, well, we're gonna have to change that, because you have to see one once, because
I see them
you know,
from
they,
here.
yeah, but it's the same. The closer you are, you
It's
feel it in the
true.
body, because they do that earthquake at the end
Oh,
too,
okay.
and it's just this white light, and you're like, don't go
Ah,
towards the light,
yeah.
Caroline, or whatever that is from Poltergeist. But like it's like we said that before. It's like their idea of a fireworks is a grand finale in America, and so it's a grand
Yeah.
finale for 20 minutes, and then we're just gonna light everything up at once. And so you watch them, and you have these big smiles on your
Oh
faces. I
my
mean,
gosh.
I was just glowing with it, right?
Yeah.
So, um, And then we went back, and the next night Omara went with us for the finale night before the last day. So that was the 18th. So Paloma and I went on the 17th and the 18th, and then the 18th. I mean, Omara, my oldest, went with us, and she was very excited.
That's such a sweet story. I love that. That's really nice.
And that one night it didn't rain, and that night was like so much more intense than the night before
Oh,
because it was the
really?
finale night.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
so you
finale
really
finale.
want to
Yeah.
go to the night on the 18th. And there's a name, not gonna pronounce it, not even gonna try. We'll do that another time. Findenock something or other. I don't know. There's a name.
Findanoche?
Um,
No, yeah.
no, it's in
It's in
Valenciano, so
Valenciano.
it's not. So,
Yeah.
so that's that thing. And then that night, the fireworks just continue on. So you're like, how am I gonna get to sleep for tomorrow? And then tomorrow was the mascletas, and then we um last year we had done the rooftop thing to see all of the city burning.
Yes. Yeah, you
And
meant,
we were
yeah.
over the Plaza Monumental to see that fireworks and that burn. But this year we decided we weren't invited to that again, and
You need to get your invites in order.
yeah,
You
I
need
know.
to schmooze with the right people throughout the year so you have all the stuff set up for fires. This is what I'm learning now at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, I will say I wouldn't want to do that again.
Oh,
I was
okay.
very happy to have done it that one time, but you're not a
Right.
part of
It's
it,
a different
right?
experience. That's
It's a
it.
totally
Yeah,
different
you need to
experience.
do it all for sure.
Yeah, you need to
Yeah.
do it all. And so this year we just hung around our neighborhood and watched the different ones burn, and like we're getting a little bratty. I'm not gonna lie. We're starting to judge these things. We're starting to be a little critical.
It's
So
not all
there's
amazing at this point. Now you're like,
no, it's
that
not.
didn't burn as well as the other one. And actually, I had that experience with one that I went to, one of the burnings, and I was like, I mean, it was on fire, right? And I'm like, it's not
Right.
burning. Like the firemen aren't even like they don't even look worried.
So yeah, we went to one on Lorena, which is supposed to be one of these. It's not supposed to be. It is one of the huge ones that's like 80 feet tall. Like it's ginormous. And we're like, oh, that's going to be exciting. And people were piling up for like an hour
Oh
before
wow.
to like wait for this one to burn, and we had our little fireworks box with us, and so we were just throwing off fireworks. I'm like, let's just wait for this one, but we could hear all these other ones going off, and I'm like, we're missing all these other ones. Like, I need to find out
FOMO.
what's the sequence so we could just go see them all, right? Just follow the
But
fire
if you
truck.
do that, you're not going to be able to see because you're going to be at the back of everyone.
But there's so many, they don't get that crowded
Oh,
because.
okay. Okay.
So what I was talking to someone yesterday. And who was I talking to? Oh, it was at the dentist. And she was saying, well, there's all this going on, but really the Casals, they stay with theirs. They're not going to
Of
all the
course,
other
yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
They'll go to the ones in their neighborhood because that's close, but it's about their
That's their
intersections.
thing. Yeah.
That's their thing. So I think in maybe the old town, you probably have more crowds because it's more tourists. But like, I mean, we live 5 blocks from Old Town. It's not like we're that far from it. But the tourists aren't coming here as much. They're like in this
That's
area where they
true.
think they need
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah. So when you
So
go around to all the individual ones, you're just going to be there with the people from that one specifically.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So that
I
could be a
mean,
fun way to do it if you can get the schedule then, because they have to have a
yeah, and
schedule
so
because the fire department has to go around to each one as it goes. So you could just follow them, I
exactly.
guess.
Follow the truck,
Follow the
yeah,
truck.
basically. So like they do the infantile, which is like the smaller display first. They start those at like 7. They do those, and then they come back and do the big ones.
Right.
So we saw a bunch of little ones burn, but we went to this one on Lorena, which was supposed to be this huge one, and I mean, we thought it was gonna be one of a big grand one. And the fireworks display before, I mean, it was okay. They didn't have much before, little fireworks, and then there was a long wait from the fireworks to the starting because it's supposed to like light the wick and go poop poop poop, and then that thing is supposed to torch.
Right.
And we were just like, this is what we waited an hour
Oh
for.
my God, you're
While
so
all these other
judgmental
ones were
now.
burning. Yeah. Well, then we were vindicated, so that we walked around the neighborhood before, and then there was another huge one at uh an intersection, but it's another one of these kind of top 10 ones every year.
Okay.
They always get, and they get more money than the other ones to build a big one. And that one had a night mascletta down the street first. So the
Okay.
whole street was like exploding down the
Oh,
block,
that's cool.
vibrating, and then the lights got crazy, and then it was shooting up fireworks from the actual Fias display, and then the whole thing caught on fire, and it was the most amazing
That's
thing that I had
amazing.
ever seen, and we were like, oh my God. And we got soaking wet because the firemen were there, and there was no way not to get wet because they just had the fire hoses like shooting straight up in the air to catch the ash and
Oh
stuff.
my
We were
gosh.
covered in soot and ash,
And it was
and
amazing.
it was amazing. And then we tried to watch another one, but then we were like, we can't wait anymore. Now it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we're tired. And they were still blowing them up at 3 o'clock in the morning because they can't get them all done. They tell you, like, you'll read in some of these like websites, information websites. So, oh, this one's done at 10, and then they're all done by 10:30, and you're like, no,
No.
no,
But it
no.
might give you the order
Well, it gives you that the little ones
ish.
go first,
Yeah.
and then the big ones, and then they're theoretically all the ones in the neighborhoods are supposed to burn first, and then they burn the one in the Plaza Monumental last, so the whole city can gather to see that. Well, the one in Plaza Monumental is being burnt before the rest of the city's being burnt because they can't get around to them all,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And but it was very exciting, and we were covered, and then we got home, and I washed my hands, and my sink water was black, and it
Oh.
was and we were covered in so much soot and ash, and I went and blew my nose, and it was just black. And
I did not
I
need to
think
know that part, but thank
I'm
you so much
still
for
I still
sharing.
think my lungs are coughing up some stuff.
So you could have taken a mask with you, I guess. That would be
I
a.
think next year, maybe
You
if we're
might
gonna do a
take a
few,
mask,
might
yeah.
take some
If you're
masks.
gonna
Yeah.
keep going around to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the of both of our experiences with the fires, we did, by popular demand, we went down and we talked about having a churros bañuelos like discussion of what's better.
Oh yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So we did go try.
We did try. We are gonna have our throwdown conversation now, and we're gonna see who's right and who's wrong. Um,
Could we
so what
both be
did you?
wrong?
So we had and then so we had them at a stand. We had them from a cafe, and you've had them from a pop ups, like the more pop upy carnival
Yeah.
ones. You've had those too, right?
Yep.
So let's start.
We went.
Who? No, let me
Oh,
first start before we describe.
okay.
Are you still churros over Benuelos, or have you been converted?
I will admit that the Buñuelos are really good in a different way. I'm still a churros person. I think I am because I like that they're more crunchy. They have a different texture. So
Yes, they do.
we went to one place that was next to a cafe, and they were supposed to have the fig ones, correct?
Right.
And unfortunately, you had to book those ahead. So that's something you have to order.
And which I didn't go back and do, so
Oh.
that's my bad. So
Maybe next
we'll
year.
do that next year because I didn't go back.
Because that
And
might have another flavor, might add a flavor that
Right.
might sway me. But the Buñuelos have they look kind of like a donut, but when you bite into them, they're kind of soggy, a little too soggy for me, almost like uncooked dough, a little bit.
well, it's because the dough is made with pumpkin.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not like just a flour dough.
Yeah.
It's got that moist pumpkin in it.
Yeah, so it's kind of moist on the inside, which I wasn't expecting. But then once I got used to it, I will say it was really good, but it wasn't a texture that I liked much. But it did have a better flavor, I think. It has a flavor, which churros don't really have a flavor, let's be honest. They're just fried and sugared. So, but then
Right.
what I like about them is they're super nice and crunchy. And my first churros experience was actually in LA, in Santa Monica on the pier. I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever gone down there, and
Yeah, they're different there though. They're covered in sugar
They
and
are.
cinnamon. They're much more sweet.
well, actually, I've never tried one there, but I bought one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, and you didn't try it. You didn't eat it.
I was holding it, and it gave it to me, and a seagull came down and stole the
Whoa.
whole thing out of my hand.
And they didn't give you another one
I
to
had
say we're
already kind of
sorry.
walked off because I was like, I'm gonna go and
Oh.
walk over here, and I'm gonna sit over there, like looking over the water, and like eat it there, and it just stole the whole friggin' thing. They are very clever seagulls in Santa Monica, let me tell you.
Oh, I can tell seagull stories. Yeah, I have some seagull
So
stories.
I had not
too.
had a churro actually, but I had bought one there. Anyway, so I think the churros here are probably, like you were saying, maybe a little bit better, but they're still just dough, fried dough with sugar and.
Well, I will say, having had many a churro in the West Coast, that there's no cinnamon here. They're more they're almost savory here. It's just a sprinkling of sugar. Where in the West Coast, the kind of Mexican ones, they're covered in like a sugary cinnamon thing.
Yeah.
They're very sweet and they're much crunchier. Here,
I wouldn't
they're
say savory
greasier.
because they're still covered in sugar, and you can also buy them covered in chocolate.
Well, that's the
That's
designery
another,
ones, which
yeah.
we don't like those because they've sat out too long. The thing with the churros is you have to eat them right away because then they just get then they get like stretchy,
Yeah, they
chewy.
get
They
too
get
chewy. They get too chewy
yeah.
if you have. But we got fresh ones, and we got fresh churros and fresh banuelos, and we sat down and the churros were nice and crunchy and exactly what I liked, and then the banuelos. The biggest problem I had with them actually was that we sat down and got a hot chocolate with it. And I was very disappointed with the hot chocolate because I wanted a thick hot chocolate to dip in. To me, it should be like a hot pudding, you know?
Yeah,
And
and I remember saying that I was like to you when we were there. I was like,
yeah.
"You want them? You want to go to Paris? That's where they had
But
that
the
really
first time and
thick."
the only time that I've ever had hot chocolate, thick hot chocolate, is in Spain. I've never had it in France. So to me, it's a Spanish thing. And it is designed for dipping buñuelos and churros in, for
Right.
most part, as far as I know. And we sat down, and this hot chocolate just left a not at
But it
all.
tasted good because
It did taste good, yeah.
I've been to so we went to so what did you where did you like the buñuelo more from and the churros more from? A restaurant, that little stand, or one of the kind of like more carnival-y pop-up ones, the one that just shows up for the day? Do you
I
remember?
think so long as they're fresh, because you don't want them, you want them to come, and usually that's how they do it. And if there's a lot of people coming through and you get fresh ones, I don't think it matters to me. Maybe there's a really fancy place that does really good ones that we didn't go to, like some fancy restaurant, and then they flavored them or something and they're suddenly like super different. But if you're just getting them from like a regular bakery or a regular place and they're freshly cooked, I think that they're just as good.
So I'm gonna disagree.
I may not have had a really fancy one. This might be the problem. But what we had that
Well,
day,
well, it's not even so much the fancy because we, so that is like the city thing, right? So we're
mm-hmm.
walking around and partaking in more of this stuff. So the first place that we went to, the more cafe place,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like their hot chocolates, but their Buñuelo I thought was far superior to that the stand that we went to, the stand that was adjacent to the
It wasn't
restaurant.
as greasy.
It
It
wasn't as
wasn't as
greasy and it
greasy.
was
It was
bigger
nicer.
and fluffier too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the one we got when we sat down to eat, that one was, which we're confusing the people. That was actually a stand, not the restaurant.
Yeah, so
There was a
the
that one
restaurant
was
was
a
giving the hot
year-round
chocolate,
place.
and then the stand, which was connected, was frying and cooking the buñuelos.
No, but remember the first place we went to was the actual Buñuelo
Right.
Cafe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that one had the thicker, kind of fluffier, I thought it, and less greasy one. I felt the next place we went to it was smaller, greasier, but they had the better hot chocolate.
But
And
I was completely destroyed by the fact that the hot chocolate wasn't dippable. So that completely just eradicated any element of how nice that experience could have been. Even
so
though
we agree the first place had the better
I think
Buñuelo.
so, yes.
Okay.
But next year
So
you have to try the fig ones because that could sway it
yeah.
the other way because it was the stand next to the cafe where they were doing the fig ones, and if they
Right.
were
Yeah, but now I'm a little worried because if you have to order it a day ahead, then is it even going to be fresh when I get it?
well, I'm assuming they just means that they make them to fry and they're fried fresh.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, because they're not gonna maybe because they're gonna be much more expensive. They don't want that just sit. They don't want to waste that dough. I
Right.
suppose.
Okay. I guess so.
That's my guess. That's my.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We'll correct that one next year.
Next year, a year from now,
Yeah.
we'll be talking.
So
about
here's
fig
the
ones
thing
again.
that we have found, being here with the churro situation is the churro stands, like the ones that come in, like the churro pop-ups that come in
like the
just for
trucks or
Fias.
whatever
The trucks,
they are.
yeah, and then they look like containers, right? They pull them out, and those kind of go around Spain to every fair,
Yeah.
right? So we personally think those are not the good ones because they use the same oil over and over, so they just taste greasier, dirtier, and those are the ones that usually have the chocolate churros, and they've been sitting there all day, so they're just really chewy.
They
and
might
like, they
have more
those ones that-
turnover too, which might mean that, like you said, the oil gets older quicker, and for that as
It
well.
gets older quicker.
Yeah.
But those chocolate ones and the ones that are filled with pistachio cream that look so good.
Yeah, no.
By the time, but those people aren't getting those like crazy, so they've been sitting there for a while, so the dough's all chewy.
Yeah.
So if you come here, we would say don't do that unless you see them pipe the stuff into a fresh.
Literally right there and dip it in chocolate. But I will say that that's absolutely true, and I think also just with the buñuelos and the churros, they're constantly making them. So don't let them give you the ones that are sitting there, and you can ask for the fresh ones. And that's
Right, yeah, yeah.
completely acceptable to ask for the fresh ones. So, they are going through them, some of these places, especially during
But
fires.
the oil is older and it affects the taste.
Probably, but anywhere
Yeah.
you want the fresh ones, no matter where they're doing it.
Yeah, no matter what,
Yeah.
you want the fresh ones for sure.
And
for
you
sure.
can easily, as a foreigner, I think, because if your Spanish isn't very good, you kind of like, yeah, they're just, you're not asking for it, so then you get them, and then they may only have been fried like 2 or 3 minutes ago, but it's still not totally out of the fryer, which is the best, really.
Right,
I
yeah,
would say
yeah,
on both,
really,
on
because
both
that's how
counts.
the sugar sticks to it. The oil's still got to be wet and hot. And
Oh, because the sugar is an addition. They ask you if you want sugar.
Right,
So it's not just, it
exactly.
doesn't just come with sugar. So you can also have them without
That's
it.
what I mean. Like they're more
Then they're
savory
more
here than like in
savory.
Mexico. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a thing. Oh, I was gonna bring up something that I found out that those 3 canceled mascletas that they had, they're actually postponed those. So we're gonna have 3 mascletas that we normally don't have in the next couple months.
Oh, fun. Okay. Do they
Yeah,
tell you when?
so they're gonna. Yeah,
Oh,
I am. I'm actually good. I went on a fact finding mission, and I wouldn't even say I went on a fact finding mission. It just came an alert on my phone from like the local news alert thing. So
It's not this week. If it's this weekend, let me know. We have friends in town.
no, it's May 4th,
Oh, okay.
May 11th, and June 22nd, and one is for Mother's Day, which is May 4th. May 11th is day, Mary's Day,
Okay.
Day of Mary, Mother Mary. And then June 22nd is for Corpus Christi.
Oh, that's so cool that they do it for like events when they postpone them. That's
Well,
clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
They
that.
just announced it a couple days ago, so I thought I'd share that information with you.
Now, just, as we've said before, that may change. So don't come back to us if they move them.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing is set in stone in Spain, let's just say, okay?
Nothing is, but I'm excited because they have all this gunpowder. They can't waste it. They got to use it. So
Yeah.
it'll be nice to see these bigger mascletas on those
Well,
days.
and I might be wrong, but I think there's several companies that do these things and they get promotions from it. So it's not the same company, I don't think.
No,
that does
no,
it.
because no, you're right, because they judge them. So they
Right.
win, and then whoever. Now this is where I think I'm like 89% right on this one.
89, okay. Not 87.
80,
Or 91.
87, 89%
89,
right,
okay.
that they vote on all the statues, on all the fights. They vote on the best mascleta, and whoever won the best mascleta, I believe, gets to do the final mascleta on the 19th in the square.
Okay, but there's people that haven't done it that aren't going to be doing it till May, June. So, I don't know if companies get to do 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think they get to do
Okay,
a couple,
yeah.
because there's like 21 mascletas.
Yeah.
I don't think there's 21 companies doing mascletas.
No,
maybe,
but I'm just
I
saying
don't know.
there is that added element too of why they postpone them, don't do them, because they are booked and these companies have created them for this and they want to do them. Like,
Well, yeah, they've created it, and I don't know how long gunpowder lasts. I would have a feeling that they've spent the money and they have to store it, and I would imagine. I mean, any rocket scientists on one to let us know.
How
But
to store
I would have a
gunpowder, how to
feeling
store-
that if they've made these things, there might be an
Yeah.
expiration date with humidity and those kinds of things.
And
I
how,
don't know.
I'm going to say this properly now, how to store gunpowder. what was the sentence I was trying to get out that was just coming out like, whoop.
Oh my god, we might have just increased our audience base with rocket
Oh my
scientists
gosh.
fact checking
Ooh,
us.
Do we know rocket? Oh my god, let's not. Please don't. Just give us the information so we're right. That would be the best way.
Yeah. Tell us we're right, never that we're wrong.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I loved it. It's my second year, and I said before this started that this might be our last Fias because it's a great time to get out of the city, and so many of other expat friends were leaving because it's a cheap time to travel. But after having done it and experienced this way, I'm like, maybe one more year before we decide
I
to
think
leave.
it is a bit
during
addictive, right? Because I think you would really have FOMO not being here. I mean, we were gone. We took the opportunity to go to England for a week because they have the school holiday, and all this stuff was going on, and I'm getting the photos of your pictures, and I'm like, oh man. But so
It is.
Yeah, you kind of want to be there and you don't want to be there at the same time sometimes once you've had a few of them. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Well, I think we're coming towards our time.
I think so. I think that's the second fire. So I'm sure we'll keep doing. There's more.
We'll come back.
information.
Oh, and I was talking to a friend, so a Spanish friend of mine who was once a fallera growing up and all that stuff, and I casually asked her if maybe one day in the future, before the next fires, we could interview her and she can maybe tell us
the real story.
Yeah, the real stories.
Scratch these
tuned.
2 episodes.
Yeah.
The third one is where it really becomes real.
Yeah,
You know?
Fires Part 3 in several months. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to be anytime soon.
No, I think that would be really awesome because she has the insight that we don't have as foreigners that I'm not sure you can ever really have.
Right.
So that would.
And I even
really
think
interesting.
inside of Spaniards, because I think even some of the Spaniards don't, if you're not part of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still an outsider element.
Well, also let's be clear. This is a Valencian holiday. You're not experiencing this in Madrid or Malaga or Barcelona or anywhere. This is a Valencian thing. So just I don't know that we've actually ever mentioned that this is very special to this region.
Just
of
to
Spain.
this region, yeah.
So it's some of this stuff is also a surprise to other Spaniards.
Yeah,
when they move
I mean
here.
that's why there's 3 million people, but I think they said only like 1 million people showed up this year because of the weather and stuff. And
that's understandable.
But yeah.
Well, that would be really fun. So we'll look forward to that if she's kind enough to talk to us.
Yes. I'll maintain that friendship until
Please
we
do.
can interview her. All right, Tanya. See you next week.
See you next
Talk
week.
to you next week.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Bye.
Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Ospain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye.